So we're going to talk about the 5 critical elements of effective marketing. However, I want to take just about 2 minutes to show you about 5 slides in terms of what Web Strategies does. We're in the business of generating leads and sales for companies. And this is how we do it. The first one is we personify your customers. And we're going to talk a lot about personification in a few minutes. But we personify your customers to make sure your messaging hits the mark. Secondly, we develop marketing strategies and implement those strategies to generate leads and sales primarily through digital marketing online. We work on websites to convert leads that you get and get them into the buying funnel so you can work them and nurture them until they buy. And then lastly, we develop sales skills and processes to convert those leads to revenue. So we are 100% focused on generating leads and sales. We got 13 people in the group. We're the only search and analytics Google Partner certified company in all of Virginia. There are about 70 in all of North America, and basically what that means is Google has found through our experience, our personnel, our technical capabilities, our marketing capabilities, that we are among an elite group of digital marketing companies worldwide. We didn't pay for it, we had to earn it. I'm going to talk about this in a few minutes. Anybody familiar with the Net Promoter Score? Okay, a few of you are, all right. It's an indication of how much your customers like you and how much they're willing to say good things about you in the marketplace. This chart is the 2015 Net Promoter Score averages by industry. We are big fans of Net Promoter, and so far this year we have a 75, and you see where that ranks. We've won 4 Web Marketing Association awards for websites we've built in the last 7 years, and this is a smattering of our clients. Some names you'll recognize, some not, some big, some small, about every industry. So that's Web Strategies. Before I speak about the 5 critical elements of effective marketing, I want to share with you what we have learned in the last 11 years about what the 2 biggest mistakes are in marketing that you want to avoid. Most of you are in the B2B space. You sell to other businesses, okay, as we are. And I wouldn't say we've cracked the code, but we have done pretty well in terms of figuring out the B2B sales and marketing space. So this is an opportunity to share experiences and to ask questions. The 2 most frequent marketing mistakes to avoid are you fail to measure what you're doing. Okay? You've probably heard the quote, I know marketing works, I'm just not sure what part of it works. If you're in the B2B space and you're not charting every prospect you see, where they came from, whether they were qualified, whether you provided them a proposal, and whether they bought from you, you're missing the mark. You've got to capture those numbers, and you've got to measure so you don't waste your time and you spend your time on the sources and the strategies and the tactics that generate business for you. You've got to track the numbers. Okay? So the biggest mistake is you don't measure anything, you don't track anything. That's a big, big, big mistake. Don't do it. The second thing is you say the wrong things to the right people, or you say the right things to the wrong people. Your messaging sucks. What do you think Apple is saying with that ad? What comes to mind to you? What do you think Apple's saying in this ad?
Jump on board.
Jump on board. Okay? Yeah. So Apple people are unique. I said unique. They're unique because they're into Apple. It's like, once you're into Apple, it's all Apple, right? So they're reminding people that you are unique. Okay? So they're selling their new iPhone 5, and their message is, you are unique, continue to be unique by getting the latest and greatest from Apple. Okay? So that's a good message for their target market. So the second mistake is stop saying the wrong things to the right people. And stop saying the right things to the wrong people. Quick example. A computer manufacturer a couple years ago decided that they were going to go out and they were going to capture more market share by putting more memory in their computers. We're going to put more memory on our computers, and we're going to go out and we're going to sell more computers, and we're going to capture more market share. Okay? They did it. It didn't work. Why do you think it didn't work? Anybody? Why do you think it didn't work?
It wasn't what people wanted. It wasn't what the market wanted.
Who doesn't have enough memory in their computer today? Most of us do. You know, these days they're selling machines for what, 1 terabyte of RAM? It's like, who will consume that? The computer will die before you consume that, right? So Amos, to your point, it wasn't important to them. So they were saying the right message, but well, they were saying a bad message to the right people because it wasn't important to them. Stop doing that. So when you make these two mistakes, basically what you're doing is you're throwing spaghetti against the wall. You are. Okay? If you're not measuring stuff, if you're not really tweaking your messaging, you're basically throwing spaghetti against the wall, hoping some of it will stick. And the last time I checked, hope was not a great strategy. You know? So, those are the two big marketing mistakes. All right, so let's talk about the 5 critical elements of effective marketing. Is anybody in an industry that is being significantly disrupted at this point in time? Anybody in an industry where you're experiencing disruption, like Airbnb is on the hospitality industry, or Uber on the taxi industry? Anybody? I mean, those are significant, yes.
I'm on a farmer's market with no delivery.
Okay, interesting. All right, so you're disrupting the purchasing process of fresh food, okay, and that's excellent, okay. But most of us are not in industries where there's a significant disruption going on. That being the case, the single most important thing you need to do to grow your business is to do that, is to create raving fans. The single most important thing you can do to grow your business is to create raving fans. Okay, so that's, it sounds so trite, it sounds so like duh, but look at me when I'm talking to you. This is not just, you know, hyperbole here. This is critical. And if you don't embrace this, you will lose. So let's talk about it. So the 5 critical elements. Step 1 is you got to know your target market. Again, I know this is duh, but here's how you think about it. If you market to everybody, you're marketing to nobody. You got to figure out what your core competencies are. What's special about your company? What do you do differently? What do you do better than everybody else? And who benefits the most from what you do well? Who benefits the most from what you do well? That's the starting point to identifying your target market. Okay, once you identify your target market, then you can start to get specific about revenues or industry or employee size or things like that. I would say, I'm not sure, unless you're in a highly volatile industry, that it will change that quickly. But it absolutely does change. I'll just speak personally. You know, when we first started back in 2004, I'd sell my soul to get revenue. You know, I mean, think about it. We didn't have anything. So everybody was my target market. Anybody who was willing to write me a check was my target market. Okay? As we have developed expertise, and as we have kind of fine-tuned our offering, and we know what our core competencies are, our target market is much more narrow than it used to be. And that's an evolutionary process. Okay? But you have to figure out what your core competencies are. What are you best at? What do you best bring to the marketplace? And then who benefits the most from that? That's how you figure your target market. And then you get to a point where you say, well, you know, I don't want to be the cheapest guy in town. I don't want to be the most expensive guy in town. So who's my, you know, what's my sliver? What's my sliver? Okay? So that's the number one rule. Figure out what your core competencies are and who benefits the most from those. That becomes your target market. So those are the two most important questions you can ask for step number one.